writers. Welcome back to your Monday Morning Jumpstart. I am very excited to introduce to the first time to the Jumpstart stage, Sandy Franks. Hi, Sandy Franks.
Hello. I feel like I should be jumping maybe.
Right? That's what I always. If anybody doesn't know Sandy Franks, she was a copy chief at AWAI. She's created a few of our courses, including one on storytelling. She's worked at Agora and worked her way up at Agora. She had her own female financial publishing company. And now she is the creator of a Substack called Just One Good Idea, where you can hear more of these ideas that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks. And just an amazing human all around. So people should perk up and listen to you, Sandy, and you can send this to your children afterwards.
Well, I hope that everybody gets some good value out of this conversation.
Yeah, I believe so. So Sandy is also somebody, I will say this to you, like she does it because she loves AWR, but like the prime example of what you should do when you have a client that you're not currently working with, but you still have a relationship with, she constantly sends us like cool ideas and cool things that she seen. And she sent us one on something called Moonshot Thinking, and it's not the moonshine you're thinking of, it's different. But she said, I feel like this would be like a great concept for writers to learn about. I'm like, yeah, that is so cool. So, Sandy Franks, why don't you tell us what is moonshine thinking and why is it important for writers to think like moonshine?
Well, it's moonshot.
Oh, well, there you go. That too. Obviously, I'm the one with alcohol in the brain.
Exactly. What's in your cup? So I heard this expression when I wrote about the story of Jamie Seminoff,
Okay.
and he's the guy who created the Ring camera.
Wow.
So his story is very interesting. He was a tinker, like to just make gadgets in his garage, and then he did it all through high school. And he created a couple of inventions with some partners that he sold, one for like $1 million and one for $17 million. And so he took that money and hired five people that they were going to sit around in the garage. And he had a list of 300 ideas that he wanted to go through and make it into something.
Wow.
So he's has these people, and of course, to do this, he's ordering all these packages that he needs. But what got him frustrated is like he couldn't tell when the package was delivered. So he was like, damn, I really needed that tool, but I didn't know it was sitting on the porch the whole time because I'm in the garage and I can't hear when the delivery guy comes up. So he said, I'm going to make a camera that you can put on your front door. I'll make it motion activated. And then that way, when someone comes up, I'll know it's the package arriving and I can see it and then I can actually talk to that person.
Wow.
So he creates this thing. And then
Imagine being the first package guy that received that interaction.
so he says, okay, I think I have something here. So on his own, he sold about $1 million of this thing, but at the time he called it Doorbot.
Okay.
So a friend of his, and here's a lesson for people watching is, so he knew a friend who knew somebody who worked at Shark Tank, that
Yes.
television show. So he said, they're looking for somebody like you, Jamie, somebody who's got like five employees, about $1 million in sales, and has a neat invention. You should apply. So he used his contact and he wrote the show. When they said, yeah, come on in, let's do an audition. And he did. And they said, okay, we want to have you on the show. So he went on the show in November of 2013 and he pitched his Doorbot idea, but he got turned down.
Wow. I was gonna say I don't remember him being on there. Wow.
Yeah, I think one of the sharks, Kevin O'Leary, had offered him a deal that was just too outrageous. So he turned it down. So he went home. He thought, yeah, I really feel defeated. It didn't work like I thought. But because he was on national television, QVC called and said, hey, why don't you come and pitch your excuse me, why don't you make a pitch on QVC? So he did it. He did that for several years and he sold like 22 million of them. And then
Wow.
he got noticed by Shaq O'Neal, the basketball
Yes.
player. and Sir Richard Branson wanted to invest so that they could really blow the business up. In 2018, Amazon said, we love what you're making. We want to buy you whole business for $1 billion. So he took the deal. He worked there for a few years and he left because what he wanted to do was, now that he had all this funding, is help other people get started.
Wow.
So in reading all about him, he did an interview and they said, so Jamie, how do you come up with these ideas? And he said, you have to think about it differently. You have to think like moonshot thinking, which means you have to shoot for the moon. You have to think differently if you want to make a difference. You can't think ordinarily. And so I thought that is great messaging to
Mm,
tell people, you know what, if you think just a little bit differently, a little bit outside the box, if you think moonshot, you'll probably have more success. And I think that applies to writers when they're looking for clients. Like, think
mhm.
outside the box. Or if you have a client and you're helping them, think outside the box and how you can help them. And I just think that message, it has such strong appeal. Just changes your mindset on what you can do and what you can achieve if you just think a little bit differently.
And I mean, to me, it's not even, there's two things I want to talk about. First of, it's not even just a little bit differently in a way because it's all the way to the moon, right? And it's like you're shooting for the moon, but you probably won't get there. But where you will get is outside the box, which I love.
Yes.
And I also love if you think about the logic of this, that he had hired the people and he had the 300 ideas, but this was his 301st idea. You know what I mean? It wasn't even one of the 300 that I feel like, don't you think? I mean, look at the name of your blog, but um, that if you're in that mode, right, of just like creating and thinking of ideas and thinking of ideas and thinking, and then because you have 300 of them, for example, they can be outlandish and it gives you that space to be all over the place, right? I remember there was a guy that got hired by Henry Bingaman and Jed, I'm forgetting Jed's last name, um, Canty. And all he did was bring them like a ring binder full of ideas. And they were like,
Hmm.
if this guy can develop this many ideas, it's a surefire win. There's going to be at least a win, right? That's in those.
Absolutely. And I think that's an important point, is just to constantly have, like we have, I don't know how many hundreds of thoughts in a day in our mind, right? So if you just write some of them down, they could become something. They could be articles for a client or for your own. If you're publishing your own
Yeah.
thing, there could be articles. It can be anything, emails. I mean, there's just so many things you can do. And it's just a matter of, I think it's James Altucher who says, like, write down like 10 ideas every day. And I think it's the same thing that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But what we're looking for are those ideas that we can really make something big out of.
Mhm.
And so we just want to think about, I don't know what all was on Jamie's 300 list. I don't know what they were, but I can't imagine that they were ordinary things, right?
Right.
They
Yeah.
were probably really kind of crazy, cool things that were like, people be like, what?
Mhm.
Because just look at the reaction when he was doing the door butt. The sharks were like, nobody's gonna want that.
Yeah. And I also think like honestly nowadays with ChatGPT and with AI, I should just say whatever which one everyone use, you have something to bounce an idea off of or help elevate you with ideas that you have,
Oh,
right? So it doesn't
yes.
have to stop with yourself. You can elevate it like that or like help generate more of what you're thinking, but like just again that muscle that you're using constantly, you know.
Yeah, you definitely. I think hopefully every writer is incorporating AI into the routine because it does help your productivity because you can, like you said, you can start lists and ask it to continue. And then that quickly it can come up with 300 ideas that you
Yeah.
didn't think of. So I think that's definitely a way to incorporate that in our daily work as writers, to use AI to help us figure things out because it does analyze stuff. So you can even feed things into it. You can send in, and I've done this many times, like you could upload a copy that you've seen and ask it to analyze the format and give you the structure. So you can use it in so many ways. It's just, again, thinking differently about how to use AI to your advantage.
Yeah, yeah. And I also love, I mean, in the last couple of years, I really am on this hill standing, like especially at the beginning from the beginning of this year, where if you are a writer, you should not be waiting for a client to start writing. Like to be a self-publisher these days, has it ever been easier than right now to be a self-publisher?
Oh my God. It's like it's everybody, I think everybody and their brother who's a writer is now migrating on Substack. I've been on
Agree.
there for several years and now you can see people saying like, this was our place. And all of a sudden everybody's migrating from all the social media platforms to Substack because really in our hearts of heart, I think people want to write. They just
Agree.
don't know if they can.
Yeah,
And I think that Substack gives you that ability to express your ideas.
yeah,
And so you can write, you can use it to practice your writing, to craft your own, newsletter and get paid for it.
yeah.
And it's an easy, super friendly, easy platform to use. They even have podcasts. There's just so many things that they're creating on the platform. But all the people that are there are writers. So you're talking to your own community. And
Like an ecosystem.
yeah, and they all want to know something. They're all eager for information. They're all wanting to know something. So I'm sure that members that are watching this have some piece of information they could share with other writers that would want to know about it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we've just given them a three-step system, Sandy. You're gonna write and generate ideas, at least 10 a day, right? Of let's just say something that you want to write about or something that you could write about for clients. Then if you want to, we recommend to use AI to finesse or to elevate them or to help brainstorm those ideas. And then you're gonna publish them and or you're going to send them to clients like Sandy does. And my last question for you, Sandy, is any advice? Like, let's go to somebody that has a current client. Well, they've worked with a client before, and they come across something that they think would be good for this client. What is the best approach to sending that idea across the line to that client?
I think sort of like how you mentioned, like what I do now with AWI is I'll just shoot an email to the people that I know and say, hey, I just read about this, or I heard about this, or I saw this. And I think it'd be perfect. And just some simple something like that, I think is enough. As long as what you are sharing is good,
Yes, yes, and
then
applies to the audience.
exactly. Then I think that they would appreciate, and then they might do something with it. And you might not hear from them right away, but eventually they might be like, you know what? Let me go back to that email. I meant to get to that a couple weeks ago, but I got so busy. So let me go back to it and let's look at it again. And hey, that really is a good idea. So I think that's a way to do it is to, because I think that's what clients want the most are ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, as the copywriter, can execute the idea for them. So it's always good to get in the habit of developing ideas and think about it in that perspective of moonshot ideas, things that are different and unique. And I think that will help you get a foot door. And the other thing I think lesson to learn here is, Jamie used his contact.
Yes, I was good. Yes, of
Yeah.
your community, right?
So I think do the same thing. If you know somebody that's in your niche or, that you can contact and ask them, do you know somebody who could use this? They might say, sure, I know somebody. So I think that's important too. Don't be afraid to use your contacts in a way that could help you get more clients.
Agree. Yeah, and I mean, if at the worst, it starts a conversation,
Yes,
you
at
know?
the worst, right?
At the worst. Yeah, yeah. Which I think is fantastic. Well, I love this. It's so interesting. I love hearing stories when they're told well about other people and how they're doing it and even, Sandy is telling a story. It might even land differently with you and the way you use it might end up being differently, but I hope it inspires in some way. And we have another one coming at you next week. So we'll see everybody then. So thank you, Sandy Franks.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, everybody.